next we'll be performing this exercise, Jenkins installation on Kubernetes, in this case microKTS. Okay, so we are using the same VM. Okay, for everything we are using the same VM, but we'll have to do a cleanup now. Okay, so again check if port 8080 is in use or not. Port 80 is in use. Okay, which is using it. Okay, so again the Docker is using it. So go to the Jenkins install directory, then only we can uninstall the, means remove, do the cleanup for Docker Compose. The command would be sudo docker compose down. Down will stop the container and it will also remove it. So when we do sudo docker ps, okay, there is nothing. So sudo docker compose down, remove the container. Let's check if we have images. So let's do the cleanup for images as well. RMI. Okay, that's done. Now we have volume as well. Sudo docker volume ls. Okay, just remove volume. So I'm showing this so that you can get used to the commands. Okay, and this is what we do in the production environment as well. So the volume is removed. Okay, and there is no docker container as well. Everything is clean. Next, again check if the port is in use or not. Okay, the port is not in use. So for installing Jenkins using Kubernetes, in this case using microKTS, we'll do the installation for microKTS on the same VM. So this we have already done when we did the installation of microKTS. But again on a new VM, we are doing the installation. Let's check if it is ready. Okay, it's running fine. We'll just add an alias. We'll make the alias permanent. And let's check with kubectl get all. Okay, and when we do microKTS status, okay, we can see that the host path storage is not active, but we'll need PVCs, right? In Docker, we created Docker volumes. In Kubernetes, we'll have to create PVCs to store the persistent data, because even the pod in the Kubernetes is ephemeral. Data on it will be lost. So we'll have to enable this microKTS enable host path storage. This will be useful for creating our PVCs. So let's check microKTS status, and we can see host path is enabled, but let's check if the pods are also up related to host path. So kubectl get namespace kubectl -n kube system get all, or get pods also is sufficient. Okay, so all are running, so that means we have the storage class enabled. Kubectl get storage class sc, it's showing that we have microkrt as host path as a storage class, which we will use next for creating the pvc. So next we are having a single Jenkins deploy file, okay, which has all the configuration required to create pvc service and a deployment. So let's copy that file. So here we are creating persistent volume claim named Jenkins PVC. Storage class is important. Okay, so microcharacters is the storage class. Microcharacters host pass. We will be asking for 1 gig of PVC. Then we are creating a service called Jenkins. Okay, it will be running on port 8080 inside the container. Okay, but we'll be using it on node port. Okay, on means we'll be accessing this pod on the node port. Why node port? We are not using metal lb here because this vm is in cloud, okay, and I do not have the ip address range, and it won't allow me to use metal lb properly, because in cloud it is recommended to use load balancer, and for this it won't give the automatically the load balancer for microcaters. If I install cloud native Kubernetes service, in this case Google Cloud GKE, it will give me a load balancer IP automatically. But here the only option would be to use the node port, that is the public IP with some random 32,000 port number to access the Jenkins pod or deployment. Then we are creating Jenkins one replica. Okay, then we are accessing on it on port 80,000 8080, and the volume which we created Jenkins home, this is the one. Okay, actually Jenkins pvc. Okay, here we are defining the volume as Jenkins home. We are using it, and it will be mounted inside the container on /var Jenkins underscore home. Okay, so this we have already learned about manifest. This is a manifest which we have created for installing Jenkins. kubectl apply f Jenkins deploy.yml. Okay, so pvc is created, service is created, and the deployment is also created. Just check kubectl get pvc. Okay, so the pvc is created and it is bounded. And let's check the service. The service will be created. Okay, so it is a node port. It is available on 31,000 port number. And if you see deploy or pods, okay, we can see the Jenkins is running. We can also see the deployment using deploy. And if you want to see all the things, you can see kubectl get all and also the pvc. So the pod is running, Jenkins is installed. We have a Jenkins service running on 31255 port of the node. In this case, the node is the VM, cloud VM. Okay, and we'll access it on a public IP of the VM, and the persistent volume is also created. So, okay, so just copy this 31255, go to the browser, same IP, just copy it. I'll open it in the new tab. Okay. Now the catch is I haven't opened the port. This keeps on changing. So I'll be opening this port in a Google Cloud. It will be in the firewall. Okay, VPC firewall. The default VPC it is using, and I'm just editing the default rule. If you're using Azure or AWS, you'll have to open the security group or the firewall similarly. So I have opened for port 8080 as well. That's why I was able to access Jenkins on that public IP. Otherwise, it won't allow By default all the ports are closed. So now I'm allowing 31255 as well, and it will take some time, and now it will be accessible on this port 31255. So if you are on a virtual box, this is not required. Okay, so okay, now I can access it. Now how to get this? We'll have to go inside the pod. In this case it will be inside the pod. Kubectl get pods, then kubectl exec-it interactive terminal for Jenkins pod, and access its bash shell bin bash, and inside it just access this path and we'll get the initial admin password. Okay. Install suggested plugins. Okay, so this was all about the installation on Kubernetes. So it was quite easy. Again, what we have to do is just two files and two commands. The file is just have this file, okay, and just do kubectl apply. That's it, and our installation is done. In just 2 lines we have completed the installation. So it depends upon the project. Okay, if everything is on Kubernetes, they will prefer to have Jenkins as well on that particular Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so you all can start doing the exercise. We have half an hour. Okay, I think in half an hour you can complete it, and just let it get completed. Then I'll check the issue of Siva. Right, Siva has an issue for his laptop. Just fill the form. And the installation is completed. Save and finish. Jenkins is ready, and we are able to see the Jenkins dashboard as well.